Anthony had commented earlier in the chat, and I responded to that comment, and I don't know that he exactly liked what I had to say, so he's going to give it another shot with you. He doesn't think De'Aaron King, regardless of what condition he's in, should start against Alabama.
I could, if I'm being honest with you, Anthony, I could understand where you're coming from. I can understand why you feel the way that you do. But for Miami to be put in their best position to try to win this game, their best player needs to be on the field. If he is healthy or as close to 100% as he can, put him on the field. But I do agree, if he's like 70, 80, somewhere in there, don't field him.
Absolutely.
And go with one of the young men. I mean, you want to also think about that young man as a human being, as a person. You don't want to throw him out there, especially to the dogs of Alabama, and he just gets broken up. You know, we don't need what happened with Francois when they played Tallahassee. We don't need something like that happening to De'Aaron King. And then if a second one of those could really ruin your career. So I don't think that would be a good thing.
And the opponent does matter because in game one, you are facing an opponent that you most likely won't beat. Now, do you preach that to your team or do you talk about that yourself? No. You play to win and you build a mindset to win the game. But most likely you're not going to win the game regardless. And on top of that, to the Wholesome One's point, this team is physical. They're as physical, if not more so, than anybody you're going to play. So, I see it. I see it a situation almost where if they were playing somebody in the middle of the country, like if they were playing somebody that they were going to walk over, like if they're playing a mid-tier group of 5, then you almost make the decision, we won't play him because we don't need him, and why risk the injury and give him another week and we'll get ready for this other team. But this is to the other end of the spectrum. This team is serious and they can hit, and we're probably, again, in the back of your mind, we're probably not going to win anyway, where you would think the highest probability of putting De'Aaron King out there would be against a team that's on your level, where it's like, well, we need him.
Jeez,
and we can win this game.
We're not going to win anyway.
No. I'm not saying you talk about it.
Oh, I love how you just threw that in there. You're just like, oh, well, we're not going to win anyway, coach. So what are we going to do here? You're not wrong. You are not wrong. And people get mad at me, man. I have people come in and call me soft and I'm not a real Cane because I don't see Miami beating Bama. Look at all that they've lost. Nick Saban's getting old. All type of comments, dog. And I'm just like, okay. People love to see you lose your stuff. People, because they win. When you respond and you give people what they want, they win because they know that they've gotten under your skin. So sometimes I'm able to just keep it moving, man. But it's like this game has almost divided the fan base to where it's like you want me to hop up and give you all the hoop and holler and scream at you and give you a Ray Lewis speech about we want all the smoke. I understand this team is not going to go out there and lay down. This team's going to fight. They're going to prepare. They're going to give their all. But we're running into the best program in college football history. Like, this is not a game to them. This is strictly business to them. When I read one of the articles about a prospect who picked Alabama when he was going to the NFL draft, and he literally said, it's because it was a business decision. I could have gone to my hometown school. I could have gone to all these other institutions. I had offers from all over the country. But I chose to go to Alabama because it's a business decision. And they take football just as seriously as I do, if not more. And if I want to be the best, I join the best. And you can do nothing but respect players that do that.
You probably saw the video that leaked of Nick Saban talking to a recruit Did you hear about this or see it? I just saw it a
Absolutely.
couple weeks ago where he basically just laid it out. We win
Yeah.
championships. All these other people want to win championships, and he laid it out, laid out the numbers. This is how many players we've got in the NFL. This is who's second. He didn't say their name, but this is how many they've got.
Yeah, he's
We've
like
got
the
this
second
many
closest had
championships.
30 or 40, which was Miami. We had 30 or 40 players in the NFL this past year, second most
The last
behind
count I
Alabama.
saw, I looked up going into 2020 or at the end of 2020, and it was Alabama 56, Ohio State 50. That's the last number I saw.
Could be. He said the nearest one was 40, so he could have been. Could be. Either way. The other thing was this man, he said, we've had more linebackers drafted than games lost in the last decade.
Yeah.
What?
That's crazy.
Wow. Shoot, Miami's had 2 linebackers drafted in the last decade.
And 2 losses to Duke.
Did I just say it out loud? Is that it? That's a thing. Oh, no. No, 3. Sean Spence, Denzel Perryman, Shaq Quarterman. 3 linebackers in 10 years. That's bad. Mark, let me ask you a question before I go.
Yep.
There seems to be this misunderstanding at Miami that talent hasn't been a problem, right? People with talent hasn't coaching, right? So I'm on the phone, I'm talking, and before I go into work this morning, right? Something dawned on me. We were sitting there talking about wide receiver cores and all these big time cores in college ball over the last 10 years. We just took from 2010 through 2020. Alabama, you go through Alabama, there's all these big time names, which is arguably some of the best players in college football history. You got Julio Jones. After Julio was Coop. After Coop was Ridley. After Ridley is Judy. After Judy came Ruggs. This year you got Smith, and you also have Waddle. That's 8. That'll be 8 first rounders. That's not including some of the other guys who have kind of been a part of their growth in the last decade, right? So I'm sitting here, and we went through LSU, talk about, Odell Beckham Jr. and Juice Landry, Jefferson, Chase. Those are pretty good guys. Then we were sitting there talking about the U. And stop me when you hear big time player. You ready? Braxton Berrios, Stacy Coley, Amon Richards, Alan Hearns, Philip Dorsett, Travis Benjamin. Those are the best wide receivers of the last decade. So, and of course, this is a Miami show. I'm a Miami fanatic, Miami YouTuber, Miami guy. This is my thing. But when we sit and we truly think about it, how crappy our program has been. I mean, half of those Alabama guys I just named are from Dade or Broward County, who more than likely, let's just say we get 2 of those 8. Maybe in all likelihood, we would have gotten Coop and we would have Ridley. I don't know. He was a little iffy on Miami, but also Devontae Smith was very interested in Miami, Louisiana. But let's say if we get Coop and Judy, let's say those 2 out of everyone else. That's a bigger influx of true talent, not borderline 4-star, not overachieving 3-star. You're talking about guys who are program changing talents brought into your program. You can't say we've had any. Amon Richards is definitely up there. He may be the best of the last decade. Statistically, you would say Philip Dorsett was as you saw him going in the first round, which we all were wondering why the heck they did that. But okay. Then you would also say Philip Dorsett would be statistically. Alan Hearns had a really good senior season. But then it's like, that's it? It's a big drop-off between those guys and Berrios and Jeff Thomas and Lawrence Cager. Like, that's a big difference, man.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it. When you list 8 Alabama wide receivers, and if you put those 2 groups of wide receivers together, all the Alabama receivers would be 1 through 8, and then the Miami receivers in whatever order would be 9 through whatever. None of the Miami receivers that you just named would break into that Alabama group.
It just doesn't make any sense. I was about to comment something, and I'm glad I didn't let that person get under my skin. I'm gonna exit that off, and I'm gonna put the phone down. I almost just responded to this dude in your comment section, but I'm not gonna let him win. I just talked about it earlier. I'm not gonna let him win. God bless you.
I had to send somebody on their way. And then there was somebody else that was being complained about that I couldn't quite track down exactly what they were throwing out there. So
now this dude knows who he is. He does this on Twitter too, and I just keep scrolling. And I just ignore it. But anyway, I like comparing us to Bama. I mean, of course, we're playing Bama first game of the season, but the reason why I bring it up is because it's a team that, because of our downfall and them ascending, has directly influenced our program. I even look at teams like Bama and Clemson's success in Georgia have directly influenced the state of Florida because they come down and grab. I mean, heck, during the building of Dabo Swinney, he came into Tampa and got Deion Kane. He came down there and got D-Hop, because D-Hop ain't from South Carolina. So he hopped in there and grabbed a couple of our young men and pulled them out of the state who, if you go back maybe a decade or two, when all the best talent went in the Big Three and divvied up between the Big Three, but because Florida has always been kind of, they do well, but they're not over the hump. Yeah. Tallahassee is, and Miami is, they'll do well, but never over the hump. These best prospects in the state go, all right, well, I'm going to Georgia. All right, I'll go to Bama. All right, I'll go to Clemson. Oh, it's Sammy Watkins. Thank you, John. Sammy Watkins, not Diop. I know it was one of the two who were from here who went up to Clemson instead of staying down here. But I don't want people to think that I'm here to kiss any other teams behind. That's not what I'm doing. But if we want to be good, you have to compare. And then when I say good, I would say Miami's already good.
Sure.
Miami's already an 8-9 win program right now when they play well. But the top echelon, elite, great, why are you not comparing yourself to? And there's a difference to me between elite and great, because I would put Oklahoma, Georgia, Notre Dame in that great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only putting Clemson, Ohio State, and Bama in that elite. And there's a separation there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And as of right now, we can't sniff either one of those. Either one of those positions. So that's great and that's elite. And these teams, I would put the Florida Gators and Texas A&M, Oregon. I would put them in the very good section, right under that great section.
Yeah. In
my opinion, as far as tiers. Okay. Now, some people, if we were going to have bigger groups, I would put them in tier 2 under the elite, because when they do play well, they can be put in the great category. But I'm going to put them in, since the conversation, in the very good section. But under them and just good, I would put a UNC. I would put an Iowa State. I would put a Texas. Like, they're good teams, but Miami is at the bottom of that tier. But we're in it. We're not a bad team, but we're good, you know. So that's why, for people who are asking, that's why I'm always talking about other institutions, why I'm bringing up and comparing us to other institutions. It's because I want you all to know there's a great distance from where we are right now and where we would like to be. Now, where we should be, I would say Miami should be a great to elite. Where we're going to go to, and where we're working hard as an organization, as a program to get to, is to go from the good section to the very good section, and then give us another 2 or 3 more years of very good. Then you could talk about getting into the great category. Because you start, the higher and higher you get, the level of consistency is super important. And being able to tie up half a decade of being a very great team, and then you just get that one transcendental QB that kicks you into the elite category. And that's where I would say when it comes to Miami as a program right now.
I think I threw some numbers by you a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the elite that, and I was going to produce a video going through all these numbers, but basically it just outlines that during the 7 years of the playoffs, that Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State have owned the playoff, and they don't lose to anybody else. Like they're just beating each other. The only reason the 3 of them lose any games is because they played one of the other 2. Those are the only games that they're losing.
Yep. And that's not easy. It's not an easy task to keep running into each other, man. It's not an easy task. Can you go ahead and put Kansas City Cartel's comment up there for me, please, Mark?
Absolutely.
I think this is such a great comment. Alabama should be the standard for every team to push towards. Hashtag logic. What the heck? Logic over emotion. Yeah. I didn't know how that meshed together. I thought it was logical emotion, but logic over emotion. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because it's true. It is true. And you could tell based on how Georgia built their team. They're basically with Alabama B, and then they get to the national championship, and Kirby realizes again, the master's still a little far ahead of me. And then Coach Saban changes his team again to be able to combat Clemson. Because, Alabama is so balanced. They could play the power game if you want to play that. They could play the Big 12, Pac-12 spread game if you want to play that. They could play the 3 clouds in the dust and blow you off the ball against Notre Dame if you want to do that too. They are just such a balanced, well-oiled machine rolling. They are just rolling. And the only thing I could see stubbing that is a retirement from Nick Saban.
Mm.
That's it.
Looks like it.
That's it. And we'll see. Or if LSU gets their crap in order, maybe they can. Because Texas A&M is coming. Texas A&M is coming. And it is not, I don't know when they play each other, but make sure you're glued to your TV when they come into Bryant-Denny this upcoming season. That's going to be one heck of a game, man. I can't wait for that one.
I actually think they're playing in College Station this year.
Really? I thought they had to. Oh, well, it was a COVID year, so some of those away and homes still stay the same. Because we went to Duke twice back-to-back years.
They're playing on October 9th, and the game's at Texas A&M.
Woo! I don't know.
Texas A&M's loaded on defense. They had a top 5 defense last year, and just about everybody's coming back. They've got a tremendous linebacker in Buddy Johnson, who is gone, and Bobby Brown. But they're 20 out of their 22 too deep on defense are back. Loaded at running back, wide receivers, all back. They've got to find a quarterback. They got a 3-way battle, and they're all inexperienced, very inexperienced.
Yeah, that's true. So, Mark, before I get out of here, I wanted to go. I added something new to the channel. I don't know if you got a chance to swing by and see it, but I am doing now the H1H podcast. So it's an audio thing, and I just got pictures over what I'm talking about, and it's exciting. It's a little bit different. It's kind of sneaking into side as me hollowing the person as to who I am. A little bit more on edge, I would say. I don't really swear because I'm still putting it on my YouTube, but it's very close to who I am as a person. And I talk about world events that's also happening, and I speak on the Canes. I'm always gonna have a Canes section, but I talk about the NFL draft. I talk about NBA, all that type of stuff. It kind of opens up to a little bit more than the Miami Hurricanes. So if you're cleaning a house one day, you got an hour, you want to let it roll,
Okay.
Check out the H1H podcast. Dropping every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That is very cool. So hopefully everybody caught that. Every Wednesday at 8, the H1H podcast drops. Head on over to the YouTube channel as well. Wholesome One. All right, man. We always appreciate it. And everybody, heads up, once again, mark it down. After the Miami game, we'll be here with the Wholesome One talking up Miami football and letting you know what we saw.